Ladies all around the world, listen up. We're looking for you. The time has come to be unstoppable together. The danger of executive women is worrying we're not enough, obsessed with perfection and failing to perform. You're in the right place. It's now time to be unstoppable together with Connie Fife. She was the director of the United States Chamber of Commerce and CEO of Girl Scouts USA. Sit down, squat down, or lie down. It's time for Up or Out, all business with Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva and chair of the Fife Group, helping women in leadership achieve excellence and be unstoppable together.
Hi, this is Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva, and you're listening to Up or Out with Connie. You can find us on iTunes, iHeart, SiriusXM, and the C-Suite Network in 1,900 global networks around the globe in 145 countries. Be sure to subscribe with us on iTunes because you don't want to miss any of the good stuff. Need some expert advice to move up or out? Well, head over to our Facebook page at Up or Out, and you're going to get tons of information that's added there daily by me, by our guests, even by people just like you, on how you can develop high-performance habits and achieve excellence. And if there's a topic that you want to hear about or a guest that you want to recommend, send us a note to teamfife at fifegroup.com. I love hearing from our listeners. So do you have a desire to move up or out? Up in corporate, up in the C-suite, or maybe it's moving out and starting your own business and being an entrepreneurial leader. Well, whatever that might be for you, we have it all right here. So here's my quote for today. Stop dreaming and start doing. So many people get stuck in that rut of, I'm dreaming, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. Make it happen. Go for it. Make it happen. If you're still sitting there and dreaming, it's never going to come your way. So we want you to make that happen. So hang in there. We got a really quick sponsor break, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva, your host of Up or Out with Connie. I am thrilled to be a headline show on C-Suite Network, where you can grow your brand, grow your tribe, and be unstoppable. We are the hottest podcast for entrepreneurs, C-level executives, and market leaders. And you can hear me each week right here on the C-Suite Network. Also on Conscious Business Network, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, SiriusXM, and over 900 stations around the globe. Be sure to follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for listening. Be bold, be connected, and be unstoppable. We're back, and you're listening to Up or Out with Connie, and it is time to turn up the volume because we have today another unstoppable guest. She's one of the foremost authorities on sales, leadership, and emotional engagement. Her best-selling book, Selling with Noble Purpose, introduced the idea of noble purpose in business. Her research has documented how organizations with a purpose, they're bigger, it's bigger than money, and actually make more money. And they experience greater customer service and employee retention, and I would say employee satisfaction. And really that's what it's all about, because it's so hard to keep those valuable employees with you. She's the CEO and founder of McLeod Group, and what they do is they specialize in competitive differentiation and emotional engagement, helping leaders drive revenue and do what makes them proud. Welcome, Lisa Earle McLeod.
Hi, it's great to be with you today.
It's great to have you on the show today. So I was checking you out. I always stalk our guests, and I see that your business, I mean, it's really a family affair.
It is.
Yeah, that's so cool. My husband's involved behind the scenes. I mean, he still has a full-time corporate job, but he gets involved as well. So that's so cool, super cool. And is that your daughter that you have working with you as well?
My daughter does work with me. So I've had the business for over 20 years. My husband came to work with me about 5 years ago. And about a year ago, my daughter, who was very well suited for this, she has a master's degree in industrial and organizational psychology, and she worked in advertising. And so she was being courted away from her ad agency, and I realized if I did not make my move then, I was not going to get her. So
yeah, Yeah, I have we have five.
Oh,
Two
you.
Yeah, two of the five. Two are mine. Two came with the married. So we have a combined family. But two of the five are really interested in getting into the business. But I said, well, let me give you a couple of more years to really get grounded and in what they're doing. But I definitely see them in the business and helping in the business in no time. So I think it'd be really cool.
Well, if
Having.
you're going to work with your kids, my one piece of advice is make sure they've had a really crummy boss before they come to work for you. Because everybody needs a crappy boss. Because if I'm going to be your boss, you need to know that I am actually a good boss.
Right,
I
right.
don't want you comparing me to some fantasy boss. I want you to have had to work for Miranda Priestley. And after that, I'm good.
Okay. I'll have to keep that in mind, especially for my daughter, and she's the one that keeps on asking, and I'm like, because I mean, we could be oil and vinegar sometimes, that mother daughter. So I'm like, and I said to her, she just talked to me last year about it, and I said, you know what, honey, I want to keep a really good relationship with you. Let's not go there yet.
Well, it is interesting because I work with a lot of leaders,
Uh-huh.
and whether it's family or not, there is always this question of, are we friends at work?
Right.
And to me, I lean heavily on the side of you ought to be able to work with people you care about.
So what do you do at work? Like I know this one guy, his daughter works with him, and his son works with him, but they're in two different states,
Mhm.
and he's in New York City with his daughter, and the son is in South Dakota, and they don't call him dad; they call him by his real name in business.
That's what my daughter does, and
Okay,
she started it because we occasionally do joint interviews
right.
and we do programs. We just spoke at LinkedIn Talent Connect, which was great, and we did a
Okay,
program on millennial retention. And
okay,
when we're on stage, she says, "Well, Lisa says," and
okay.
it really does work much
Does it?
better.
Okay,
It
okay.
works better for both of you. It
I
works
would
better
think so.
for them because
Yes.
they're treating you kind of like a peer and kind of like their boss, which is what you.
Right.
And then it also works better for you because it doesn't bring that parent-child dynamic into the work.
Right. And you're
Which we,
looking at her a bit differently from
yeah,
that. So it's unlike my mother. When I moved, I took my mother. She wanted to know and understand what I did. So I took her when I was speaking in New York City, and she was living in Pennsylvania at the time. And she was sickly, and I thought, what, maybe I should do that before she passes, which she did end up doing. And so I said, well, let me take you with me. And I gave her one of my team shirts. I said, now don't tell anybody you're my mother. No one. I got done speaking, and she was working my book sales table with one of my staff, and just got done. And this woman comes running up to me to the front of the room, and she says, Connie, your mother needs you. I was like,
ah,
okay, I'll be right there. I was like, all right. And I went back and I'm like, Mom, you weren't supposed to tell anybody. She's like, I know, I forgot.
I can't help myself. Well,
So
my
it
daughter
was.
and I also look alike, so it's kind of hard. And we have the same last name, so
Oh, yeah, right. And then you have the same, and that's how I picked it up, of course, because you had the same last names.
yeah.
So about the business and the work that you do, I mean, you talk about businesses and how they can have purpose and drive that competitive edge through emotional engagement. So how do you work with the business to help them create that?
Well, one of the things that I find, so I work with a lot of different businesses of varying sizes, and I typically work with the senior leadership team. And the
Okay.
kinds of businesses we work with are businesses who are in a competitive situation
Mm-hmm.
and they need to show the market why they're unique.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens so often in business is externally, you want to show the market, here's why we're unique, here's why we're different, here's why we're more valuable, here's why you should choose us. But what happens internally more often than not is that's not the conversation.
Mm.
The internal conversation becomes about money and how can we hit these targets and these are
Right.
our goals. And so what we do is the majority of our work is centered on helping an organization name and claim what we call their noble purpose. And a noble purpose is how you make a difference to your clients. And so the reason I say that is because it sits right at the center of any commercial model. It's not, we want to be number one in the market.
Right.
It's not, we want to be a good corporate citizen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of our clients who says, we make transportation safer, faster, and more reliable.
Okay.
And then out of that, we help them do a couple of things. We help them craft their story for the market to be so it's compelling. And then we also help them create a compelling internal story. Because one of the things we know is the internal conversation always becomes the external conversation.
External, that's right.
Yeah.
I love that. So how are they doing that in terms of keeping the customer in the forefront? I mean, really staying focused on that customer first.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of, my background is in sales. And so the idea that the customer should be at the center of your business is not new. What is new is what we do for our clients, which is not just being customer focused, but
Right.
being customer impact focused. And the difference is really important because customer focus would be you're just reactive. Whatever the customer wants is right. Go say yes to the customer. And you can create a really good business on that.
Yeah, but isn't that just like you said? I mean, that's what it should be. But how does that make that different for a business?
What it should be. So what you have to be clear on, I'll go back to our client whose noble purpose was make transportation safer, faster, more reliable.
Okay.
They don't go around saying put the customer first. They go around saying, how are we helping our customers' transportation be safer? How is it faster? How is it more reliable? Give me the story. How are you, Mr. Manufacturing? How are you making our customers safer? And so it becomes not just about how are we generically helping our customers,
Right.
or it becomes really specific around how are we helping our customers do the thing that we have defined for ourselves.
Now I know you work with you said different size businesses, but I just want to really be clear on this, that this message, this is relevant no matter if you have a small entrepreneurial business with 10 employees up to 1,000 employees. It's still relevant.
One of our clients, multi-billion-dollar company all over the world, a company called Flight Center. They're out of Australia, and they have, I think it was 35,000 employees, tons of partners as well. And so for them, their purpose was we care about delivering amazing travel experiences. And so what we did for them was we unpacked what does caring look like at each level of the customer interaction?
Okay.
What does deliver look like? And what are the metrics? How does the client define amazing? What are the metrics around that? And so it's putting that through every level of your organization.
Okay.
So CEO who's in Australia goes to Latin America and meets a branch manager, he can say to him or her, show me how you care about delivering amazing travel experiences and what you're doing here. And that person ought to be able to deliver on that.
Okay. So it's very clear from the top down and from the bottom
all the
up
way through. Yeah.
what that message is, and then across. So like you said, no matter where they go to this organization, they're going to have that same experience, that same customer experience.
The same customer experience. And it's pulling it all the way through those non-customer facing roles.
Right.
So in product development are charged with how can we create experiences to deliver better? How can they be more amazing? And so what happens in so many organizations is you use these words. We want it to be good. We want it to be good. But they're just nebulous.
Okay.
So what you need to do, and what we've helped our clients do, is they are aspirational words, but we give specificity to them.
Well,
organization.
So how does a noble purpose give them the connection and the meaning? Because especially with connection today, I mean, yes, as humans, we do want to connect, but you have so much on social media. So much laid out around them. So how does the noble purpose help them connect in terms of that emotional engagement?
Well, the thing is, people want a couple things out of their work. human beings have two fundamental needs. They want connection and they
Right.
want meaning.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine's a parenting expert. She says it's belonging and significance.
Yes.
So we want to be part of something,
Right.
and we want to know that our work has an impact. And so one of the things that we do with clients that makes a big difference is we help each person in the organization connect the dots from their job
Okay.
to the impact it has on customers. So I'll give you a super specific example. So a smaller company that we worked with is a plumbing supply house.
Okay.
Now, you might not think that that's the sexiest business in the world, but try and live your life without plumbing, and you will know.
You need plumbing.
It's really, really important. And they also do beautiful kitchens and things like that.
Right.
So one of the things, their purpose is around creating innovative solutions for comfortable living. And so we took their accounts payable department, which are not always the people the most excited to come to work.
Yeah.
And we had them track each of their job functions back to how does this affect the solution the customer gets? How does it make the customer more comfortable in doing business with us? How can you be more innovative? And some of the things that they came up with were, again, this is accounts payable. They're billing plumbers on a regular basis for all these parts. And they realize, oh my gosh, we're sending out these bills. These guys are on their cell phone all day. We need to send them a text with the bill. And on the bill, instead of just putting the parts numbers, we need to put pictures so they know. That's going to make it easier for them. Just things like that. And then we also brought in some customers, and we do this with almost every client. We'll bring customers in to talk to non-customer facing people. And in one client, one software developer, we put pictures of the customers on the wall in the big coder room where all the bros are with their pizzas. And what are they doing there? And we have pictures of the customers. So I'm not just writing code, I'm writing code for him and her.
Right.
So that they can go home and tell their kids at night, instead of saying, I write code. One organization that we work with, a company called Blackbaud, and we've written a lot about them, got some articles about them on Forbes. The coder can go home and say, I designed the software that helped the Salvation Army get product and supplies to people who needed it. So you're really helping people connect the dots. And I had yet to come across a company that did not have an impact on their customers.
And that just is a huge impact. When I was back in Girl Scouts, I mean, you use the words I use all the time, which is emotional engagement. And as far as, with us, it was just like self. And I'm very familiar with Blackbaud. I knew exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. So,
right, and we've used it. But so, how do you take that to your funders and create that? Okay, we need funding for a Blackbaud system, where instead we need funding so we can be better equipped to help our girls achieve.
That's right.
What it is that they're working towards. So it wasn't selling a system. It was selling what that system was going to bring to the organization or bring to the community. And so, I mean, I love that. And even when you're selling, that's a great story to use when you're selling, because now you're painting a picture. And like you said, even with the invoices, you put that picture of somebody there or a picture of the product rather than the coding, because people can visualize that much quicker. And then when you're painting that picture for them, that's when you get that emotional engagement with them. So fantastic. Love that. Well,
and Blackbaud, since you're familiar with them, their chief revenue officer was actually an early adopter. He read Selling with Noble Purpose.
Oh, okay.
What we're going to do.
Okay.
And so we worked with their sales team to really help them, because a lot of times people in software, they had a great sales team to begin with. A lot of times people in technical fields will go out and sell based on the features and sometimes even the benefits of the product.
Right. They're the features and benefits.
Yes, but they don't create the compelling emotional story. And we know the compelling emotional story creates both urgency in the buyer and emotional engagement for the company.
Yes.
It can never be about what we help the masses do.
Right.
See, there's a mind the neuroscience on this is the human mind wants to connect and make a difference to an individual. And
Yes.
so when I work with CEOs, one of the things I coach them is, so you can stand up there and you can talk about your company's numbers, but you need to bring up the story of one customer who you helped and paint the emotional impact you had on that
Yes.
customer. That's what sears in people's brains. That's what
Yes. Yes. And you make a really good point too. It's not just your external customers, it's your internal customers too. So even with your employees, showing them, painting that picture and sharing how they've helped somebody else, it just creates a greater impact for them, and they're more committed to what they're doing with the organization, even if it is a plumbing company.
I'm telling you, this plumbing company is on fire. Revenues are up. You meet any one of their people at the ball game, the soccer field, a cocktail party, they will tell you exactly what I did. Do you know how important it is? Do you know what happens to someone when their kitchen becomes beautiful? Their family life improves.
It
Do you know
does.
what happens to someone when they go into their kitchen and everything's beautiful? They become a better cook. They eat more nutritiously. They
And
eat
you
out.
know that when everybody has a toilet that works,
Right. We can go down that path too. But like they know that creating these
yes,
kitchens and bathrooms, what
right,
it does for people, they know
yes,
that helping that plumber get those supplies easily means
uh-huh,
he's answering that emergency call 3
yeah,
hours sooner. And
right,
that matters.
yes,
Versus the toilet.
and it definitely does. It definitely does matter. Well, we need to take a really quick sponsor break, and when we come back, we're going to be putting Lisa in the hot seat. So stay
Oh
tuned.
gosh.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for more qualified leads? Podcasting is a great way to do that.
The podcast you're listening to right now is produced by Turnkey Podcasts, and we can do the same for you.
Over 100 million people listen to podcasts every month. 85% listen to the entire episode. Interview-based selling is 10 times more effective than traditional marketing campaigns.
Step into the new media space and let podcasting be your marketing, business development, and lead generation tool. Turnkey Podcasts can take you from concept to launch. Instead of taking months, we can help you get there in as little as 30 days. After the launch, we do all of your editing, production, voiceover guy, royalty-free music. The bottom line is we're going to help you generate more qualified leads using podcasting. If you have a podcast already, we can show you how to better monetize it.
Go to turnkeypodcast.com/contact for a free consultation to learn more. Turnkeypodcast.com. You need more qualified leads for your business. Let us help you find them.
And we're back, and you're listening to Up or Out with WCONNIE. And joining us today is Lisa Earle McLeod. Now, Lisa is a former Procter & Gamble sales trainer, and she now runs her own consulting firm, McLeod & More, Inc. Her firm's clients include Hootsuite, Roche, Volvo, Dave & Buster's. Wow. You're a prolific writer, and you're the author of 5 books and thousands of articles, and you are a sales leadership expert for Forbes, and you've also appeared on the Today Show and the NBC Nightly News. How cool is that? We're going to be on the Today Show soon, too. I can't wait.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, with our Women's Council that's coming right up around the corner. That's going to be so exciting. Really
Oh, that's
looking
great.
forward to that. Yes. So it's now time for the hot seats.
Oh, I'm still not sure about this, but go ahead.
All right. So again, it's all about you. It's just all about you. So we're going to start
perfect.
really, who doesn't want to talk about themselves? So we're going to start really easy by asking, what's your favorite quote? The one that just keeps you going every day.
It's probably a Margaret Mead quote. Never doubt that a small, thoughtful group of committed citizens can change the world, because indeed it is the only thing that ever has.
That's right. That's right. That's fabulous. So did you know what you wanted to do right from the very start?
Yes and no.
The hesitation.
Yes, I felt a calling. So when I was about 8 years old, I am very fortunately from a generation of women where people ask you, what do you want to do when you grow up? So that was a question my mother didn't get. So that was good. Backstory is I was raised, my mother was a scientist, and we were a family that I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. We did not go to church. That's important to this subject.
Okay.
So I'm watching on television. I'd stayed home from school sick, and I don't know how old I was, but old enough where I was allowed to stay home. Back
Right.
probably like 7 or something. Yeah. So I'm watching public access television in Washington,
Right.
D.C. And this preacher comes on in this African-American church. And I'm, this little white kid raised by this. And I've never seen anything like this in my life. And man, he is bringing it. People are on fire. And he is
You're
just
like, hallelujah.
I've never seen people so excited. Super uptight family. I've been to church for a couple of funerals. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is So my mother comes home and she goes, and I say, I have great news. I know what I want to be when I grow up. She says, what? And I said, a Black preacher. Like, okay.
All right, honey, if that's what you want to do.
Well, there's going to be a few obstacles. I'm like, okay. She said, you're going to have to start going to church. And so the dream died. But what I realized, and what I think this is true, for everyone, is when we think about what we want to be,
Okay.
we're limited because we're looking at the landscape of the jobs that we see when we don't even
Right.
see all the jobs.
Right.
But plus, over the course of your life, nobody grew up, 30 years ago thinking they wanted to be a coder. You didn't even
Right.
know
No.
a web designer. So you don't even know. But what I think you do know is you do know what's yearning in you. And
Yeah.
it may be vague. And what I knew, I see back in hindsight, was I knew that those people that he was speaking to
Right.
were fully alive. They were
Okay.
fully alive, and they were fully engaged, and they were part of something really exciting. And I knew that I want to be a person who helped make that happen.
Who motivated people. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, and so I in fact did know, but it took me a long time to circle back. My mother's not living anymore, but if she was, I said, see, I knew I was right. I was right about that. You poo-pooed that thing. I was onto something.
It reminds me of my son. We lived in Lancaster, Pennsylvania for a couple of years. And we did the whole Amish tour. Of course, we lived by a lot of Amish people. And my son comes home one day from school and says, Mom, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm going to be Amish. Similar to you. I'm like, well, I don't know if they're going to want you.
You go for it.
Exactly. But you go for it, honey.
I'm not sure they're recruiting, but
yeah. But he changed his mind when he realized every time we'd go to Walmart that the horses were not cleaned up after.
Oh gosh. Well, I think it is interesting because we really do know we have these yearnings because they don't fit into a box and we don't act upon them. And one thing I know is that, there's been a lot of studies as a woman, that your self-esteem actually peaks when you're 10 and doesn't come back to that level until you're 40.
Yes.
And I know that at that moment, I was under the age of 10. I can't remember how old I was, but I know that I was under the age of 10 because I looked at this guy on stage with these thousands of people and him.
I'm just doing it. But
I
saw that study where women do lose that confidence and that clarity because I don't know. This could be a whole different conversation.
Because then the world starts messing with you.
Exactly. That's exactly the best way to put it.
Yeah. And if you'd have asked me when I was 13, I would have said, I could never do anything like that. But at that young age, I saw it clear as day. And I think that's one of the things that, thinking about what do you want to do versus who you are.
Right.
In school now, one of the things that I have 2 daughters, my one who's already well out of school who works with me, another one in college. And one of the things that I see that's really frustrating to me is this emphasis on what you're going to do.
Yes.
Now, I'm all about economically self-sufficient children.
Yes.
But you can't get there without some innate sense of who you are.
A sense of who you are, and that sometimes it's experimenting. Like you said, there's something there, and sometimes you can't put it into a box
because it's not, you know,
because you don't have that clarity.
The boxes aren't there. You don't
right.
know. And the thing that I see is, you know, we know the numbers. I work on employee engagement, and we know the numbers, you know, like 53% of people are not engaged, 17% are actively disengaged.
Right.
Epidemic. And a lot of the responsibility does rest with employers, and that's my spot.
Okay.
Additionally, I think some of the responsibility rests with schools, because these people are coming into these jobs no sense of self, and so they can't connect to anything bigger than themselves because they don't even know themselves yet.
No, and to me, that's the biggest argument with schools. Is because they're teaching you something that's in a book. They're not teaching you that world experience. And a lot of the instructors have never done anything else besides teach in a classroom.
Right.
So they have nothing else to base that on.
Yeah. And you know, we expect a lot of our teachers, and we don't pay them much, you know, so to expect that someone that we pay, you know, $45,000 or $50,000 to would have a big worldview, because based on all his or her, you know, experiences.
Right, based on their experiences.
Real on what we're getting here. But
and my daughter is a teacher, and my future daughter-in-law is a teacher, and my niece is a teacher. And, you know, of course, I don't want to beat them up, but I also have suggested to them, you know, sometimes you need to get that real experience before you can bring that into a classroom.
Well, and my mother was a teacher, and my grandmother was a teacher.
Okay.
And one of the things that I have anecdotally observed in schools is the exact same thing I have observed in organizations, which is we want to improve the performance, so we will start measuring it.
Yes.
That always works. You know, and there's a very famous quote by Deming that is misquoted all the time.
Yes.
The misquote is, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Right.
That's the misquote. The true quote is, just to think you can't, because you can't measure it, doesn't mean you can't manage it. He said the exact opposite. Yeah. And so what we do in schools is the exact same thing we do in work, which is, oh, things aren't going well. Why don't we double down on the measurements instead of root cause? And then morale goes down, and then we can't attract top talent, and then we wonder why.
Right. And then what do you do with that measurement? It goes on the shelf and it collects dust.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, acting to it or being proactive to what needs to change, what needs to happen there. I know we can go on a whole hour talking about this.
Okay. I'm supposed to be on the hot seat.
Okay, yeah. So let's get back to it. So what's that aha moment when you said, I really got this? I know exactly what I'm going to be doing.
I've had several aha moments. So I would say two really big ones for me over the trajectory of my life. One was when I lost my mother, and I was in my late 20s, and she was in her early 50s. In fact, she was a year younger than I am right now.
Oh, wow.
And being at her funeral, she was a school teacher and a very good school teacher.
Okay.
And being at her funeral and listening to all these people talk about what a difference she'd made in their lives. Because I was someone that came of age and didn't want that woman life, you know, corporate, and it was a major reset for me. I did stay in corporate, but it was a reframe in the sense that I realized that this innate need that I've come to recognize we all have to make a difference in the lives of other people. And so that was a complete reframe for me. And then probably about 10 years ago, I had another reframe, which actually ended up being the book Selling with Noble Purpose. Okay. And that was a study that I did looking for what differentiated top sales performers. Okay. And what I unexpectedly found, this was 10 years ago, people weren't talking about this then, what I unexpectedly found was that a sense of purpose and wanting to improve the lives of customers was actually the differentiator between the top reps and the merely good reps. And so that for me really solidified this emotional, almost spiritual yearning that was a thing that belonged in business. And not only did it
Right.
belong in business because people wanted it, it actually was the thing that
Right.
drove the highest levels of performance. And so that was real, just this concrete evidence. And I could
Right.
did a big long sales study, did interviews, and
Yeah.
unexpectedly found this thing in these
That.
anecdotal comments. But that for me told me this thing that's been living and breathing inside of me is real.
It's real.
And my job is to bring it
Yeah.
into a business environment that desperately needs it.
Yes, yes. Love that. Love that. So knowing what you know now, if you had known it back then, what words of wisdom do you have to give a young, um, whether it be an entrepreneur or someone going to, go into the C-suite, looking to pursue their path to success? What words of guidance or wisdom do you have for
So we all hear find your bliss, know yourself, do all that.
them?
We know that. I would focus on something more practical.
Okay.
You are at a junction point. Do I go for trying to get into the C-suite? Do I start my own business? What I would say is go back over your life. It doesn't even have to be work. And think about the times when you really made a difference to someone else.
Okay.
Think about 4 or 5 of those times and see if you can find a pull through thread.
Mm.
See if you can find a thread. And it's
Yes.
different for everyone. You may be the person that made things really organized for people
Mm-hmm.
and help. You may be the person that pushed people to see something they couldn't see. You may be the person that went into a mess and made sense of it. Like, think about it. I mean, it could be, so like my husband's a very different person than I am. And he's the guy that wants everything to run like this.
Right.
Opposite of me. But when he looks back and he's like, when I was, running, when I was CFO and I had that stuff buttoned up,
Yeah.
when I went into my mother's house and I got all that stuff organized. So 2 very different situations.
Right.
That same thread.
Yes.
So look for that thread for you. And it's oftentimes the thing that you're really good at
Mm-hmm.
feels like nothing to you
Right.
because you are so good at it. It's so natural and easy. You're like, oh yeah, but that's not a thing. Well, that might be a thing.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice, is to give yourself a little bit of white space on a walk or a run or a listen to music, whatever you do, and really think, when did I really make a difference? And write them all down, or jot them down on your
Right.
device, and then think, what's that pull through thread? Because that's
Mhm.
going to give you clues for your next move.
Right.
When you got that, then you want to think, how can I scale it? And I use the word scale. I work with a lot of software companies, and so that's
Right.
always, we got to scale this. We got to scale this. But I think as a human being, that's what you're always trying to do. So if the pull through thread is I help 5-year-olds learn, then
Right.
the challenge is, how can I help more 5-year-olds learn? Do I
Right.
need other teachers? I think you're always trying to scale your impact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the human challenge that
Yes.
that we talk about in business, but it's human. And so I think that would be, once you find that pull through thread, then think, how can I scale it? And then that should point you to, your next move.
Right. Because again, in business, it's still humans running the business.
Right.
And that sometimes we forget that.
We do. I do. I will tell you one other sort of minor tipping point. I was working with the CEO, and he called his team together, and we were debating something, and the CEO said, let's not get emotional about this. And I paused, and I didn't say anything in the moment. And
Right.
afterwards I said, when we were talking, you said that one of the things you wanted was you wanted your team to be more passionate and to care more.
Mm-hmm.
So I might suggest to you that actually we don't need less emotion. Like more here. And so that was kind of a tipping point for me, because I realized this idea that you shouldn't get emotional in business.
Right.
Stupidest idea.
I know. And that's what we would always be told. I mean, that's been But that's changed. It's definitely changed.
It's
But
definitely
that's all we have for today. I would love to continue chatting with you. This has been awesome, phenomenal. So learn more about Lisa McLeod and more. Learn more about Lisa at McLeodandmore.com. And it's easy to find her because she's all over social media. So that's all we got for today. Our time always goes by so quickly. Be sure to subscribe with us on iTunes because you don't want to miss any of the good stuff. Need some expert advice? Remember to go over to Facebook to our Upper Out page, and we're adding information and tools to help you grow your business there every single day. And if there's a topic you want to hear about or a guest to recommend, send us a message to team5@fifegroup.com. It's been great being here with you today, and ask yourself if you could do something different to get a different result. What would you be doing right now? You're listening to Up or Out with Connie, and I'm Connie Fife. And until next time, be bold, be connected, and let's all be unstoppable together.